Well, if you're talking,
Okay, so today is April 9th, 2020, and I've got Stan and Betty Rudine and Lisa Farmer and myself, Karen Rademacher, and my husband Dale sitting behind me. And we're going to look at some family photos today, and Dad is going to help us identify who's in the photo. And what's happening right now is it's the COVID-19 pandemic. And Dale and I are working from home. I spent most of the day with a board meeting, doing it remotely. And it was a lot of work to get that pulled off. And so tomorrow, Friday, I'm going to take the day off. So Lisa, tell us what you've been up to today.
Okay, so I work for Poudre School District at Zach Elementary, and I work on the second grade team as a para, and we had a online staff meeting, and then I had a second grade team meeting where we produced next week's lesson plans as a team, and then tomorrow I will edit the lesson plans and I will try all the links that we sent out to the students to make sure the links work. So we're doing distance learning.
Hi, Mom and Dad, what'd you guys do today?
Well, this morning I had another coffee group on house party. There were 7 of us, and we're missing one gent who is probably got a virus of some kind. He is a Vietnam vet with a history of Agent Orange and chemo periodically, and he's very susceptible to viruses, so he is at the VA, and we're not sure whether he has a cold or the virus. So we're waiting for him to come back and join our coffee group. That's what I did this morning. This evening, we joined about 50 other cars in a little parade in front of a home where a lady has been in the hospital on a ventilator for a couple of weeks or more with the virus, and she came home today. So 50 of us met in a school parking lot and got in a chain and drove through her neighborhood. She lives on a circle, so we all made the circle, honking our horns and waving banners. So that was kind of special. Kind of got to everybody. Yeah. You do.
I did. I stayed home all day, and I went on the trip to honor the young lady that came home from the hospital.
And you made a pie.
I made the pie crust. Going to make a pie for Easter.
Yum. Okay, so I'm going to pull up a photo now. Dad sent me 2 photos today. One's from sometime in the 1940s and the other sometime in the 1950s. And Dad's going to help us identify who's in the photo. I've got some genealogy stuff off to the side on my screen. So if we need to look people up, we can do that. And Lisa, you're here for color commentary just to make it fun. So here we go. With the screen share.
Okay.
Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure can.
So yes. I'm guessing, Dad, this is sometime in the 1940s, and it's Sunday on the farm. And I'm wiggling my cursor now. I think that's you right there. Am I right?
Yes, and I think I still have that cap. I was wearing it all winter.
So tell us what a typical Sunday on the farm was in this era.
Well, for us to get together on a Sunday afternoon, it might have been special. Who knows? It might have been Easter, but looks like the trees are leafed out, so it's probably a little later in the summer. But it's at Walt and Anna's farm.
Oh, okay.
Near Meade, Colorado.
Meade, Nebraska.
Meade, I'm sorry, Mead, Nebraska. I've got Mead, Colorado on my mind. In fact, a little beyond Mead from the Sresco, a few miles towards Omaha, and then a couple of miles north on a county road. That's Walt's farm.
Okay, so in this picture of the oldest generation, or the Rudine siblings, we've got Grandpa down here, that's Lawrence. And is this
Yep.
his sister Edith?
Yes, it is.
And then I don't see Walt. Maybe, is he behind the camera? There's his wife, Anna.
That's possible because Walt is not in the picture.
Okay. And then this grandma here, we think, is that Anna's mother?
Yes, it is. That's Marie Johnson.
Okay,
Marie and Emil that came from Sweden.
okay. And then we have this mystery lady here. We don't know who she is.
No, I don't. She appears in other photos and with a man. So I'm not sure who that is. Might be in the Johnson family somewhere.
Okay. So what did you have for dinner?
I wouldn't doubt it was chicken, or could have been a roast, but probably chicken. And
So who was the cook, Dad, when you have that many over to eat, and how many chickens are we talking? And who killed them? Who did it? Who did the deed?
they might have each brought something. So
Okay.
we brought enough chicken for our family, and Florence and I and Mom and Dad, the four of us. And Don is not on this photo. It might be during the war time, or maybe the year he was at North Park College.
Okay.
Can't tell you much about food except there was always plenty.
Yeah. So everybody brought something.
I think so, yes.
Do you
So-
remember having to do anything to help? Did you have to go get eggs or anything?
No,
No?
I'm pretty little here. I'm maybe,
Yeah.
what, 5 years old?
Okay.
And Marion is a year younger than me, and she might be 4 there, and Florence is behind her.
Oh, yeah.
Behind me
So-
is Gladys Johnson.
So let's look at the family groupings here. So in Walt and Anna's family, I see that's Delwyn, and this is Myron, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And Myron's wife,
Is Doris,
okay,
and in front of Doris is James, we called him Jimmy. And then Myron would be holding Judy.
okay.
And Lisa, this is probably the only family in this group that has red hair.
Oh, interesting.
I think Myron and maybe Doris, I'm pretty sure Doris, and Jimmy all had red hair. How about that?
That's awesome. So Myron is the son of, help me out,
Walt and Anna.
Nana.
So this
And
is
was-
Myron, and this is his mother.
Okay. Got it.
And then we have Delwyn back here. And are those the only 2 of Walt and Anna's kids that are here?
Okay.
Yes. And the other 2 are in that next picture, and
Okay.
these 2 are not. But interesting thing about Walter Delwyn, the tall one in the back, it's his grandson that's now pastor of our church at Arvada Covenant, and it looks just like him.
Yeah.
Very much. Very much. Yep.
Okay, so
Strong
then
resemblance.
we have also on the Rudine side is Edith here, and Ed Johnson is correct right there.
That's correct.
And they have 3 girls.
Yes.
I think the oldest is here.
No, that's Gladys.
Okay,
The oldest, Elaine, I think is behind Florence.
right here.
Yes,
Okay.
Oh,
yes. And that's Esther,
Right.
mom's sister, right there.
And so this is Gladys, and then that's Marion. So
who's on
Right.
the
who's this girl
on
on
the
the
other
other side of Florence?
yeah, who's that?
Okay, that's Rojane Johnson. If you go way over to the left, that's Elmer in the back, who would be a brother of Anna. And in front of him is Laurette, his wife. In front of her is Merlin Johnson.
Oh, Merlin.
Pee-wee?
Pee-wee, yes.
Pee-wee.
Older sister is the one by Florence, between Florence and Grandma Marie. That's Rojane Johnson. She passed away a few years ago. So
And then we have Grandma and her sister, Esther. And
yes.
would Esther have been still living in Nebraska at this time, or is she visiting?
Apparently she's still living there, because once she got to California, she didn't come back to visit very often.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Dad, so tell me about this is a Sunday afternoon, right?
Right.
So you boys all changed into overalls, it looks like.
Well, we did probably, but if you look at Dad, he's taken his jacket off, but
Right?
Elmer and Ed in the back, they still have their white shirts and jacket on.
Okay.
And so does Myron. And
He's got
believe
his
they would play horseshoe. Well, they may take their tie off, but they still played horseshoe in their white shirts.
Okay.
And Dad's got a baseball mitt and a baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't know who would be playing catch with him. Maybe Delwyn or somebody, but maybe he threw the ball to us too. I don't know.
So you boys didn't wear overalls to church though, did you? Or did you?
No, probably not. And they may not be overalls. I got a little sweater on, so.
No,
They look like overalls to me.
they do to me too. I was just curious if you remember you got to come home and change and run around outside. It looks like you're in
I think so. I think that would be
mode to play outside. So
right.
Okay, let's move on to the next picture.
Okay.
I gotta open it here. All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
yeah. Yes.
So this one has to be the early 1950s. And Dad, where is this picture now?
This is on our farm in the old farmhouse on the front porch on the north side of the house. And in describing this picture to Florence, I'm pretty sure this was right after Florence and John were married. They were on the right side of the photo there. And it might have been a couple days later, I'm not real sure.
So Don and Vivian came out for the wedding?
I think so.
Okay.
Vivian's in the picture.
Right.
And I don't see Don. He might be behind the camera. And by the time Florence and John were married, David was a baby, born in April, and this would have been in June probably. Maybe he's in the house sleeping, Florence thought.
Oh. So the family grouping here, let's look at the Rudine siblings first. We have Walt. Is this Minnie?
That is Minnie, yes.
So she's the oldest. And then
The oldest?
Walt, and then Grandpa Lawrence.
Yes. And I don't see the Ed Johnson family in this picture.
No.
So this probably is celebrating Florence and John. So we've got Dad's family and we got some of Mom's family in this picture.
So here's Grandma, and this
Yep.
looks like a sister here. Is that Ruth?
That is Ruth, Mother's cousin, first cousin.
No,
Yeah.
isn't that Ruth Nordgren, her sister?
No, that's Ruth Moostrom.
Ah,
Oh, Ruth Moostrom Nelson. And that's Joe Nelson, the tall one in the back.
okay. Wrong Ruth.
That's Ruth and Joe.
Okay.
Got
There was a Ruth and Joe Nelson and a Ruth and Joe Nordgren. But this is Nelson.
But this is this another Moostrom here?
That's Carl Moostrom.
Okay.
Ruth is the oldest, I believe, and then Carl.
And so then Carl's wife,
Laureen, yes, next to the post there. And that's her son, John, between them.
okay. And Mom, was he in your class?
Who?
Was John
No,
Moostrom, was he in your class, Mom?
No, he was a year younger,
Okay.
I think. Maybe 2 years younger.
He might have been in Ray and Jane's
Yes.
class.
So then we have Walt, and then there's Anna back there. And
Yep.
then we have, I think, 2 of their kids. Is this Harriet?
That is Harriet, yes. I think she's the oldest, I think.
And is this her husband then? I couldn't figure out who he is.
Yes, he is. The one in front looks like he's working his camera or something.
And
And
what's his name?
Carl Sundberg.
Okay. And
And
then,
the other sibling is in front there, kneel down. That's Warren Rudine. And his oldest, I think, is Bruce
okay.
Rudine, right?
And then
I think
this is Warren's wife up here, Evelyn, correct?
Correct.
So now let's look at the kids. I raised 3 boys and I know trouble when I see it. And I see trouble right here.
Yes. Yep.
How old are you? Do you think, Dad? How old?
I think 8th grade. Might have been a freshman that fall.
I'm seeing, yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of Kyle and I'm seeing a smidge of Nate. I don't know if you guys are seeing,
No.
I am.
And then
So
this is your second cousin Charles next to you, correct?
It's Charles. I talked to him
How
today.
close are you? How close are you in age, Dad? You two?
I was born in August. He was born in the next February, so just 6 months.
Okay.
But he was a year behind me. He was in Betty's class because he didn't start in September because I already had my birthday and so on.
So then we've got these girls, and I don't know if they're Harriets or Warrens or who's who here. Do you have that figured out?
Those are Sundbergs. That
Okay.
is Karen Sundberg between Dad and me.
Okay.
And down by her knees there is Carolyn Sundberg. She has passed away now. She was in an auto accident and paralyzed, if you remember.
Oh, okay, I remember that.
And in front of
Sad.
Carl Sundberg is Eldon.
Oh,
That's Eldon. So we covered everybody?
I think we got everybody. Well, and then here's Vivian.
Vivian, right. I was surprised to see her in this photo, but they say obviously, I remember when they came back and David was just an infant, so. He might have been, yeah, just an infant.
And then this is at the far right, Florence and John.
Right.
Okay, so I'm curious, would you all sit down together inside? Would you sit outside and eat? How would that go? What would you do?
You know, the adults were probably at one table and the kids were wherever, maybe out on the
Class-
porch.
Classic. All right.
I think we always had a kids table somewhere.
That's a big group.
Yeah, that's a lot of chicken right here. And pies, and would you have homemade bread?
Yeah.
I remember Grandma's Sunday dinners. They were pretty good. Green beans.
Mhm.
Who did the dishes? How did that roll?
I did not see any men in our family doing dishes.
Okay,
I
well,
was shocked when I went with Mom to some of her family dinners, and there were actually some men in the kitchen helping with dishes. So,
good.
All
'Cause
right.
that's a lot of dishes. That's a lot of people.
yes.
Okay.
How
Well,
about
that's
that?
the end of this episode. Maybe we'll do this again if this turns out to be a big hit.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right. Thank
I
you.
would love.
Happy Easter.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah.